I'm gonna build a 3x3 redstone door, but I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So I had this idea when I realized that I've spent thousands of hours in Minecraft, but I've basically never even touched redstone. And I've always wanted to create cool redstone builds, but I just never got over the laziness hurdle. But that ends now. I'm making it my mission to build a 3x3 redstone door with no tutorial, no references, and absolutely no help. Just me and my noggin. I mean, how hard can it be, right? Alright, so here I am in a super flat world because I heard from a small bird that this is the world type that you're supposed to do redstone in. The first thing I did was get some of the components I thought I would need for a 3x3 door, and so far I just knew there was redstone and pistons involved. My initial idea was to kind of emulate a 2x2 redstone door where the blocks get moved to the side, but of course for a 3x3 we have 3 columns, and I was pretty happy to deal with the middle later and just figure out a way to get the 2 sides out. I was a little bit stuck on how to activate all 3 side pistons at the same time, but it didn't take me long to accidentally stumble upon a way to do it. If I put it up here... No, not yet. Okay, so that does 3. Cool. Okay, that worked a lot better than I expected it to. I'm kind of shocked that actually worked. I'll be honest, I didn't understand why that worked, and I low-key still don't, but I decided not to think about it too much for now and just move on with the next thing. I linked up the 2 sides with some redstone, and would you look at that? I'm basically already done. Well, that's how I was feeling in the moment. Little did I know that this would be a lot harder than it let on. I linked the lever to the bottom piston as well, and finally realized that I didn't even need 3 pistons at the bottom and top, since the side ones were being moved by the side pistons in the first place. Then I said these famous last words. This is turning out a lot better than I thought it would. And then linked up the top piston as well. So now I had every block working except for the middle block, and unfortunately I was pretty stuck on what to do with it. Now how am I gonna get that guy out? I eventually landed with the idea to extract the block out of the plane of the door and bring it behind it, and afterwards I would move that block and the piston used to extract it off to the side. Here I got super confused with piston timing, but like, guys, does this even make sense? I thought redstone was instant, but does redstone power level have something to do with how quick a component activates? Like, I don't understand. Wait. Oh, the redstone gets taken. Okay, alright. Okay. Oh, but now it worked. What? What? Why did it work now? That doesn't make sense. This paradox bothered me so much that I decided to start over with a more tasteful selection of blocks. Okay, so as I started recreating the structure, I got really curious about why the 3 side piston thing actually worked, and I spent a bunch of time trying to investigate it and figure out why it worked. And let's just say... The working solution we got. Oh, pistons. Okay, alright, that makes sense, Sure. So I decided to just swallow my pride and accept that it works. Again. That makes sense, yeah. Okay, cool. That makes total sense to me. Yeah, alright. That's definitely not confusing at all. Okay, that doesn't work either. Whoa! What the heck? This is like from the cover screen. So after I finally recreated what I had before, and a lot more efficiently this time as well, like it's a lot cleaner this time, I started thinking about how I was going to power the extractor piston. So the piston that's going to pull that middle block out of the plane of the door, right? And at first, I just wanted to hook some redstone up to it, but as you can see, it would be in the way of the door, which is, you know, that's unacceptable. We can't have that. We can't have the door being obstructed by just a block with some redstone on it. But, you know, figuring that out on how I could implement this without having a block in the way, it was too much for me, so I decided that I'll just come back to it and deal with it later. So now I just had to figure out a way to get the middle block and the extractor piston out of the way. So I did some experimenting and found out that when you move a piston, it doesn't bring its attached block with it, like the block that's stuck to the stickiness of that piston, right? And this meant that I would need another piston just to move that, like the door block itself. And I decided on moving them underneath the whole structure because I feel like it just looks a little bit more clean. Although it will pose a problem of there being a piston on the floor, but you know, past me just wasn't thinking of that. You know what I mean? So I got them moved by one block, but how was I supposed to get them flush with the floor? So I didn't mention this earlier, but my requirements for this build being correct is as long as there's no blocks in the 3x3 like hallway, like in those dimensions, then it's fine. It's all good. And right now I just had these two blocks, the piston and the middle door block, just kind of just sitting on the floor, right? And that's unacceptable. It has to be flush with the floor. And I was a little bit stuck on how I was going to do this, but then I had an absolute stroke of genius. Sometimes my genius scares me. We just had two more pistons. So it's here that I realized that the bottom pistons only pull the top pistons and not the extractor piston and the middle block, right? And it's kind of like I literally just learned about this, right? I literally experimented and figured this out. But in the moment, I was like, what? Why is this not working? And the solution was just to activate the top pistons once again, and like as like a pulse, like on and off. And then it works. And so I finally had a way to move the blocks out of the way. But the only issue was that I had to manually activate these different sets of pistons one by one in a special order, which is clearly not, you know, okay, right? I need all of this to happen automatically with the main lever. I came up with the order of which pistons needed to activate and deactivate and when, such that I could fully open the door from the closed state. So the order was to deactivate the top pistons first, then deactivate the bottom pistons, and then activate and deactivate like just in a row the top pistons again. So it goes top, bottom, and then top, top. And essentially I had the order and I had the system of how I could open the door, but it was just a matter of how I can automate that. Like, how do you even, you know, program an order of, like, I want to say order of operations, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, how do you program an order of steps using Redstone, which, you know, I have no idea. There's nothing that I learned through my, you know, so far that would have, like, kind of told me, like, oh, this is how I could go about this. So I was very stuck here. So now I just had to figure out the timing. Firstly, I hooked up the top and bottom sets of pistons to the main lever instead of the sub-lever system I had going on before. As I hooked up the top pistons, I ran into my first timing issue. Despite the extractor piston and the top pistons being activated by the same lever and thus at the same tick, the top pistons weren't able to pull the extractor piston, and this is actually because they were trying to pull it before the extractor piston had even retracted. Pistons can only be moved by other pistons when they are retracted, so then I remembered what repeaters are actually really useful for, and that's adding delay to your circuit. So I added a 4-tick delay to the top piston so that they would always retract after the extractor piston had already retracted, and it worked perfectly. Then I hooked up the circuit to the bottom pistons as well, and also made sure to give it an additional 4-tick delay with another repeater, so 8-tick delay in total. The whole thing broke because I forgot to reset it, but once I stopped being stupid, it surprisingly worked exactly as I had planned, which is rare. It didn't work. No, it did work. It did work. It pulled the pistons. Okay, it did work. But then came the biggest hurdle of this entire challenge, in my opinion. I had to figure out a way to create a pulse from a static input like the lever. Remember how we needed the top pistons to activate and reactivate at the end of the order of the steps? Well, to do that, I needed to somehow create a pulse, which basically just means the power travels through the circuit and turns itself off. Get ready, because this part of the video is what took the most trial and error. My first idea was to make an alternate path to the circuit which had an extra delay on it, and I thought it would be like real life electricity, but the circuit splitting for redstone is a little more ambiguous. What I realized was that the redstone was prioritizing the circuit option with more delay for some reason, and I knew that because the top pistons moved much slower than usual when I tested it. Shot. Why was it so slow this time? Okay, I think it's choosing to go this way for some reason, which is that's not ideal. I'll tell you what. That is not ideal. Okay, I don't think this is the right way to do this. This wasn't gonna work, but I wasn't done yet. So I thought about it a little and realized that I needed an on pulse, as in I need the pulse to turn on and off rather than off and on. This meant that I had to reverse whatever the lever was inputting. Like when the main lever gets switched off, I need to reverse that off signal and send an on pulse back through the circuit. And let's just say I had another stroke of genius. I remembered that redstone torches had a special property of being capable of being turned off. I've never used it, but I had vague memories. Like I just remember seeing like turned off redstone's torches. And I just kind of assumed that if you power a redstone torch, it'll turn off. And it turns out I was right. So I implemented it and accidentally made a loop, or a redstone clock as redstoners would say. Obviously this was not correct, but I had a feeling I was on the right track. Oh my god, okay, no, this works. But it's a loop. It's a loop. Okay, let's just turn that off. Okay. I decided to avoid creating loops by just taking the pulse and feeding it into the top pistons from the other side completely. But here's the catch. The pulse I've been talking about wasn't actually a pulse yet. See, I only reversed the main lever's input, but it just meant that whatever the redstone torch's state was would just be constantly fed to the top pistons. So my next step was to try and find a way to convert that reversed input into a pulse. Any idea I would get would just fall apart or not make any sense, and I knew deep in my soul that I would have to do something I was really dreading. Like, I can't explain how much I didn't want this thing to be involved with this challenge. You probably have no idea what I'm talking about right now, but it's the thing that is infamous for players not knowing what it does. Do you get it now? I'm talking about the comparator. I really don't like this thing, but it's mainly because I just don't understand what it does. And at face value, that seems quite odd, because you wouldn't necessarily hate something if you didn't understand it. Like if you had never seen a dog, but then you saw one, it's not like you're gonna hate it purely because it's new. Nah, the reason I hate the comparator is because I've tried to understand it, and I failed over and over. Like, it feels like a logic gate, but it isn't. And it has two side inputs, but only one gets used, and some BS about signal strength subtraction. Look, here's the footage of me trying to figure out what it does, and let me tell you, it's not pretty. Comparator, compare, right? Is this, compare. Is this some sort of logic gate? So true equals false. What does this thing do? Oh, I don't get it. I don't get it. What is this thing? What is this thing? Oh? Oh! Wait. Wait. It is a logic gate. Wait. What the fuck? Okay. Alright. It's not inputs. Okay. So the sides are inputs, right? So okay. And maybe the middle you just have to power it or something. It's an AND gate. Oh my god, it's an AND gate, right? We got false. And that gives us a true. Okay. If we have true and false, that gives us a true. We have true and true. That gives us a true. Okay. Well, no, it's not an AND gate. It's It's a freaking, fuck, I should have paid more attention. It's called a NAND gate, not AND, right? Base state. It's like perma-true. Always true. And then when you activate it, it's false when... Hey? Okay, so it's false whenever there's a true. If there is a true, this is false. So if there is a 1, this is always a 0. However, if there is no 1, then this is a 1. Okay. So if all inputs are false, then the output is true. So after all that experimenting, I came to the conclusion that if both of the side inputs are off, then the output is on. And while I'm certain this isn't actually right, which I'll figure out very shortly, for the purpose I needed it for, this working solution just kind of worked. Now I just had to use this new information I discovered in a meaningful way. I'll let the on-site flashes explain it. Now, let me put the inputs there. So now, the output of this comparator, when it's active, so we gotta make it active. We also gotta power it, so we'll just chuck in a thing. Okay, so now it's powered. Whenever this turns off, right, it's gonna be delayed, but then this one will be false, right? Then I want this guy to also be false, but then it turns true after a while. It turns true after a while. So what we could do is we could take this guy, put a torch here, and power it. So this is turned off. But then after a while, when that thing turns off, this will turn on, right? And then we'll put a couple of repeaters to delay it, right? Maybe one more. Ugh. One more repeater. And then we'll feed that guy, which is going to be true, into here after a while, essentially. And so for a moment, when this turns off, right, for a moment, it's going to be false, false, which will send a pulse through, making this one true. Alright, now let me translate what the old me was saying. Basically, I want to generate an instance of time when both of the inputs are false, which will send an on signal through. But then using a delay, I can make one of the side inputs true again, which will turn off the output. In theory, this is actually totally sound, and I was starting to build up some good momentum until I just had to notice something. Oh no, okay, so this is not powered. Is this not powered? Am I tripping? It looks like it's powered. No, it is powered. What? So, why is it powered? That also powers it, but more. Is there like signal strength related to this? Yeah, so I finally clued onto the fact that signal strength was involved with the comparator, since despite my theory saying that the output should be totally off, I could see a very weak signal there, meaning my discrete theory just wasn't right and I was missing some information. Despite this, I knew that in practice it should still work, as we could just pretend like the weak signal was just 0. It's like how engineers sometimes round pi to 3, because depending on what you're doing, sometimes it really just doesn't matter, and you can probably save some computing power, or in my case, brain power, from trying to figure out why it was like that. Why? I don't get it. Why? Why is the output like two things on? Like what? Let me count. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, that's too much to be a coincidence. So there's 2 things coming out, like 2 signal strength, and coincidentally from our input, there's exactly 13 components I know I should have just left it, but curiosity got the better of me. Does it like reverse? It does. What is this thing? I don't get it. It reverses it. The thing's here. Why is it not? Oh, I do not understand this thing, bro. What is this thing? Wait, what? I don't understand. As long as... Oh, no. That is what it is. That is what it is. Wait. Because now it's not powered. Does it have anything to do with this? Oh, it does. Okay, I'm so confused now. I'm so confused. Okay, whatever. So it works as long as everything's close by, I think. So as long as everything's close by, within 2 blocks of each other, every single strength 15 on each of them, then it's fine, it's done. So, 1, 2. So if I just place this over here. Okay, so that's 1 block. And let me, now it's done. Okay, cool. Somehow that worked. Now all that was left for me to do was run through the theory one last time and test it. Now whenever I turn this off, there's going to be a delay, but then this one will be off, and this one will also be off for like a while until this happens. So and then they're both going to be off, and when they're both off, that's on. Okay. When they're both off, that turns on. And it'll come all the way around, and it'll go over here on these guys. Here goes nothing. Ooh, I'm scared. Okay, but one thing is I do need to make this. I need to make sure that this is delayed like as fuck, so it doesn't turn back on too late. All right. Moment of truth. Oh my god! I did it! Yo! Yo! I did it! Let's go! Are you kidding me? I did it! Oh my god! It created a pulse! And yeah, and now it's off! Oh my god, dude, what? What? I did it! I actually did it. Finally, after over an hour of trying, I managed to get the door to open. But I was only halfway there because we needed the door to close as well. While at first that seems like a simple task, like surely we can just reverse the order of the signals from the opening part, but believe me, it was incredibly confusing and difficult. I'll just let you see for yourself. So I tried thinking about how I was going to go about this, and I realized that for closing the door, I needed the bottom pistons to activate and then the top pistons to activate in succession. There was no pulse or anything complicated like when we were building the opening mechanism, but this was completely different from the opening mechanism. My grand idea was to block off the sub-circuit for the top piston completely once the door is opened, and have the lever prioritize a different path when attempting to close the door. It'll make more sense as you watch, but I think on-site me actually said it pretty well though. Or what I could do is that whenever you open the door, right, and this turns off, after it does its shit, after it does everything, it can somehow block these paths off, and then favor using these ones instead, where it goes this one first and then maybe these ones here. But how was I going to block off parts of the circuit? Well, while I thought about it, I tackled some smaller problems. For example, I wanted to make it so that there could be an actual floor here, so I had to come up with a way to still power the correct pistons, but with powered blocks instead of a direct connection. Luckily, I was able to do this pretty quickly and tidy up my circuit quite a lot in the process. My solution for this was to use repeaters to power the floor blocks, which would ultimately be able to power the top pistons. The repeaters are just there to like channel the current into the two specific blocks, because the alternative would be to place redstone on top of the blocks, and that's obviously not an option. In the process, I broke a couple of things and ran into this paradox with a circuit without a power source. Ah, maybe that's why, because this is connected to nothing. Why is it still powered though? But once I fixed everything, the door opened again, and I was able to figure out a valid method to make sure that the floor would, be a floor. But here we are with no side quests left, and I knew I had to face the big issue and come up with some way to block off parts of the circuit. And if I couldn't do that, then I would have to come up with some totally new idea altogether. How am I supposed to change the order of which the stuff happens? Like, I made it in the specific order. So I'm like, am I not kind of screwed here? I'm just fucked, no? Unless I just, okay, I'll do that idea where I just block off this path completely somehow, right? Imagine that's blocked off. This path over here is blocked off. It's not happening. What I rely on instead is some other path, maybe over here, right? Where I decided to move the redstone powering the extractor pistons to the other side of the door so it would be closer to where I was planning to cut off the circuit. I already knew that blocks can block redstone circuits, no pun intended. Like imagine a line of redstone on a diagonal. If you put another block where the redstone would have to travel past to get through, you can block it off and force the redstone to go in a different direction. This was the essence of my idea. I set up a little piston with this pink block which would act as the blocker. Basically, I wanted it so that whenever I turn the main switch off, in other words opening the door, this piston must get activated after a bit of a delay and block off the circuit. This will make it so that when I decide to close the door, the undesirable pathway, which would have opened it, right, will be blocked off, and the signal will be forced to go a different way. So the two parts of the circuit I needed to cut off was firstly the part powering the extractor piston, and secondly the original part that was powering the top pistons. Basically, when I'm closing the door, I want to make sure that the top pistons don't activate according to the timing of the opening mechanism, and I can basically do that just by cutting it off. So here I cut off the power to the extractor piston using this pink block, and after modifying the circuit a little bit, I was able to create another one identically to cut off the top pistons. Now I just had to power these blocking pistons when the main switch was off. I noticed this on signal right here, and for my intents and purposes it was perfect. I routed it to both of the pistons and that was basically it. I had my method for cutting off that part of the circuit such that it wouldn't activate when closing the door. And now I could set up another timing using the redstone on the opposite side of the door and have it activate the bottom pistons first and then the top pistons. And that's really it. But how I was gonna implement this was still a complete mystery to me. This seems like a running pattern in this video. My first idea was to make use of that pulse generator I created earlier. I spent way too long doing trial and error on this when I could have just thought about it for a second. Basically, the timing for both the side inputs being off could only work for either opening or closing the door, but not both. And that's because there would need to be at least one tick where both sides are off. But the thing is, that tick can only be on either side of the tick that when the side switch. Oh my gosh, that sounds confusing. Sorry if that doesn't make sense, but essentially it was straight up impossible to do what I was trying to do here, and it took me far too long to realize it. But afterwards, I realized that using the pulse generator was useless anyways because I didn't need a pulse, I needed a static signal. I finally decided to just pull the signal from the block where I blocked the power off to the extractor piston, and this made perfect sense. Whenever the main path is blocked off, the redstone will obviously choose the alternative. I did wonder if I would have to block off the alternate path afterwards, but luckily I didn't need to for whatever reason. I just had to hook this new path up to the bottom pistons and top pistons with the right timing, but for whatever reason, maybe I was just really tired, this confused me to the point where I just went into this frenzy of trial and error. Like, I'm not even gonna try to narrate over what I did in this section because there was genuinely nothing to it. Like, I knew I was close, so I just tried everything I could instead of like stopping and actually thinking about it. Basically, I just didn't add the correct delay to the right pistons. But from this trial and error, I was able to clean up the circuit a little bit. Oh, and here's a clip of me finding what was breaking the door. Is that it? Oh my god, that might be it. That might be it. Yeah, that was it. Just one misplaced piece of redstone was enough to break the entire thing. But I persevered and eventually... That might be it. Oh my god! Yeah! I did it! Oh my god, I actually did it. I actually did it. What? I did it! Let's fucking go! Oh my god! Wait. Yes! Yes! Oh my god! Let's go! Let's go! Are you kidding me? Let's fucking go! Oh my god! I did it! I did it! Oh my god! Oh, that is sick! That is sick! But unfortunately, I wasn't done just yet. There were still a couple of issues with this door, the biggest one being that there was just a block in the middle of the hallway. Unless I fixed this, my job here was just not complete. But it was late, and I was sleepy, so I left it for the next day. Alrighty everyone, it's a new day, a new dawn. I took a break of one night because I was sleepy and I wanted to go to sleep. But I'm back, and unfortunately I forgot to start recording when I was troubleshooting what exactly, like why I couldn't get it to start working again. And I forgot to start recording, so that's my bad. But this is the result of my investigation. This is it. It's this redstone. Remember how I made the redstone go like this to, like, I don't know, save some space? That, for some reason, it breaks, right? Let's fix that. But that, if I change that now, right? I move that back to where it was before. That is all it takes. Oh, that was a mistake. That was just me being stupid. Why did I do that? Hold on. Let me redo that. Not good for demonstration, but here. That was all it was. See, now it works fine. Yeah, so essentially I woke up, was super motivated, and started trying to figure out how I could make the right side of the floor an actual floor instead of there being repeaters there. And I just did a whole bunch of BS, but ultimately none of it worked. And I just tried to revert it to how it was before so that I could actually work. This was also around the time I realized that I forgot to start recording, but oh well, I didn't actually solve anything, so it's fine. And the thing I'm going on about in the clip, the bum-ass redstone dust, basically I didn't recreate like how it was before one-to-one, and that singular redstone dust was literally one block away from where it was supposed to be, and for only God knows why, that was enough to break the entire door. Anyway, I spent some more time experimenting on a way to use powered blocks here, but I don't get anywhere and just decide to move on. I'm not going to feature it in this condensed video, but if you are interested in seeing every little detail I was thinking about, and there are some entertaining moments, some funny moments where I'm just baffled, I'm going to upload a full unedited version of this video at some point in the future, but if you're a member of the channel, you'll get to see it right now. You know what? I'll come back to this. I'll come back to this. Let me just fix it to how it was before. And redstone. Okay, now it should work again. Let's check that it works. Where is my lever? What the heck? Okay, it closes. And it opens. Okay, this is not meant to be that. The other problem that I had was this powering system. It's not great, essentially, because imagine if I was walking here, there would be literally just a block here. So it was finally time to deal with the method of powering the extractor piston. If you remember, this was actually the first problem we ran into way back at the start of the video, and I decided to just worry about it later, and we're finally worrying about it. So my current idea is that I'm going to use a piston, another sticky piston over here, that gets powered with a redstone block that touches this piston when it gets there. I don't know if this is gonna work though, I can't lie. But yeah, that's my plan. That's my plan now. I would need a redstone block right here to touch that. Okay, it just got stuck like that for some reason. But imagine a redstone block there. And then, wait, this might actually be easier than I thought. If I just do that. Oh my god. Wait, I just did it. I just did it. What? That was way easier than I thought. Okay, that that makes things very nice for me. That's very nice. Okay, cool. Do you know how good it feels to have an idea work out first try? This was absolutely amazing, man. If I come over here, I come to my door, I press this button. Yes, let's go. I mean, this is kind of but it works and it's flush with the wall. That's all I care about. I can't lie. Okay, is there? Okay, let me give it a little bit of thought. If I can make this look nicer. That's not worth. That is not worth. I'm not doing all that, bro. That's fine. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. That's fine. This I'm not happy with. But in the meantime, let's make this path go out a little bit. Uh-oh. Alright, so while I make a little room for the door to lead to, I want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for 700 subscribers. Actually, it's like 736 now. This is so sick. I can't believe there are actually more than 700 people that literally decided to subscribe to this channel. I know I don't upload enough and I know I'm lazy, but for the 736 of you that subscribed anyways, I appreciate you guys so much. And I'm gonna make a lot more content. At the very least, I'll be uploading every week, so stay tuned for that. Favorite color is orange. There we go. This is looking great. It's looking amazing. You know what, I'll even... I was about to put a door here. Like, that doesn't defeat the purpose of what we've just been spending ages building. You know what? Screw it. We can have a 3x3 door over here and another door over here. That is so stupid. No. This goes against everything we've been doing. No, we're not putting another door here. Oops. This is a good way to make your carpets look a little more dynamic. Action going on here. I'll even make this one like that. And maybe this one. Nice. Very nice. So now I only had one last thing to fix, and it was this hole in the floor. And guys, let me tell you, this is actually the problem that single-handedly took me the longest out of everything here. Nothing I tried would work. Like, with all the other hurdles we ran into in this challenge, my ideas, while they weren't perfect, would still give me hints towards what I could do instead, or, you know, give me some more ideas. But here, I was just completely defeated. But defeat can only exist if you allow it to. This stuff over here, like that. And you might be wondering, oh, there's still a hole here. Well, ta-da! Check it out, guys. Look at this. Oh my god, look. No more issues. No more issues. It's amazing. Let's make a little path over here. So you imagine, you come over here and... Wait, door's closed. Oh, what is this place? What is this place? Oh my god, what is this place? Hold on, let me actually make it look a little nicer. Oh, what is this? What is this? Boom. Wow. Wow, this is sick. This is sick. Oh my god, I did it, guys. It's finished. I'm not doing anymore, dude. I am not doing anymore. Screw this shit. Frick this shit, man. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm done. I've had it. I'm done. This is as good as it's gonna get. I'm surprised I even, you know, got something to like somewhat work. But that's as good as it's gonna get, guys. I can't do anymore. I've had enough of this challenge. I can't do this. I actually can't do this. And I know for a fact it is not supposed to be this hard. I know for a fact it is not meant to be this hard. I don't know what went wrong in my brain, but like I've for sure overcomplicated this to like the maximum degree, no? Like, what is this shit? Like, I know this is just wrong. And any redstoners that are watching this is just gonna be cringing the entire time. I know it's wrong, dude. I know it's wrong, but it works. That's all that matters. It freaking works. Oh my god. I did it. I made a 3x3 door in Minecraft with no tutorial, no references, no idea how to do it. I don't even know how most of the redstone components worked. But guys, I did it. I actually did it. We made a 3x3 door.